Hello again. My name is Ginny Marshall, and I'm the CEO of DSI Work Solutions. And I am pleased to welcome you to this next session in our series on job function-based testing. We've had 2 sessions so far where we have focused on the opportunities that arise when job function testing services are available. Opportunities both for the employer who is going to receive the benefits of a safer workforce, reduced injuries, reduced costs, and also the providers who are providing an invaluable service to employers, which is also a new source of business for them in their communities. As we move forward, let's remember what we've covered so far in terms of opportunities. We talked about opportunities that reduce the incidence of injuries, such as post-offer of employment testing, annual testing, and job transfer testing. In our last session, we focused on the opportunities that are related to injury management, which include return to work testing, fit for duty testing, and also testing for reasonable accommodations when disability is impacting an employee's ability to perform their work. As we move forward in this session, we are going to be focused on the important considerations when this type of testing is involved in any of those 6 areas that I just mentioned. So again, let's take a look at the definition because it's critical that we're understanding the type of job function-based testing that we are discussing in terms of opportunities and considerations. A test that's uniquely designed to reflect a job or jobs in terms of physical demands. It is recognizable to employees as being job-related and similar to the type of work they perform. So with that definition in mind, one very important consideration has to do with legal compliance. The EEOC, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, has rules that are legally required if employers are engaging in any type of testing related to employees and their employment. In particular, any type of testing must be job-related and consistent with business necessity. That's a quote. And it's important not only that providers think it's job-related and consistent with business necessity, but employers and their employees can recognize it as such. Some forms of testing are not easy to recognize, but if testing is designed to be like the job and recognized as such by employees, this level of compliance will be met. In addition, the EEOC requires that employers not discriminate against individuals or certain groups of individuals with any type of testing that they use. You can go on to the EEOC website and quite readily find many cases where employers have been fined, sometimes very substantially, when they have breached these 2 areas. So as providers, we want to be sure that the services that we are offering will help employers be in compliance with the mandates of the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. A second area of consideration is communication. We may have the finest test, but if the documentation does not clearly identify what the test is associated to in terms of job relatedness, then it may not be strong enough to withstand scrutiny when questions about job relatedness arise. It's important that the communication of where an individual is in recovery is clear in terms of how it impacts their job. In other words, if an individual cannot perform a physical demand such as the lifting requirements of the job, what job functions does that impact? Can we communicate restrictions to employers in ways that facilitate the employer being able to place the individual in a work-related activity, in a job function. A third consideration is making sure that we meet the stated goals of the employer and that the employer really think through and clearly identify their mission for having job function-based services. For example, many have heard that job function testing post-offer of employment is a great tool, or they've heard that it can be used very well for injury management. But making sure that their own particular goals have been identified and clearly communicated with the provider as this type of testing has been set up is what assures outcomes that can really have an impact in the employer's area of concern. Are they struggling, for example, to retain employees? That may be related to post-offer of employment testing, or testing and using that information for onboarding to assure a good match between new employees and the jobs they're being placed in. Or is an employer struggling with too many injuries in the first year of employment? Another indication that post-offer testing may help identify which individuals are a better fit for certain jobs, or whether other interventions during the onboarding process may help avoid those types of first-year injuries. Is there an aging workforce? Do we need to be monitoring the workforce in order to assure that they're fit to the work and any necessary adjustments being made as is possible to do so? Are they struggling with injuries that sideline employees for too long? In other words, are people on restricted duty too long? Are they kept out of work too long? Is the employer struggling because their skilled workforce isn't present and perhaps could be? If these areas are identified, then the way testing is set up can be targeted to be sure and address these areas of concern. And finally, an important consideration I'd like to bring forward is the importance of written and active policy and procedure use. In many of the EEOC cases that I've reviewed, what has happened is a deviation from policy and procedure, or an absence of written policy and procedure that supports what is being done. Policies need to include measures that are taken to assure consistency of testing, consistency of how documentation is received and stored, and measures that are taken to assure employee safety in testing as it is in place for work activities. These types of policies and procedures are what's necessary to assure compliance that is going to protect everyone from a legal perspective. Not to mention making sure that all of the goals and objectives that have been outlined for job function-based testing are being addressed and being met. Thank you for joining me for this session on considerations. If you want to learn more about job function-based testing and all of these important considerations as a part of it in more detail, you'll find that in the coursework that we provide on our website, dsiworksolutions.net. We invite you there to take a closer look and to even try the first lesson in any of our courses at no obligation. We believe that our coursework can help you provide a solid foundation for job function testing that will get the types of results that help employers maintain a safe and stable workforce. We look forward to having you come back to our next session, where we're going to look in more detail at examples of job function-based tests so that you have a clear understanding of how this can help your employees, or if you're a provider, the employers you can be serving in your community. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.